around. It's up to you. So we thank God for everything. And we were doing, for a long time, we were reading Pink's book, Eternal Security. And I sent Jim a query. I sent him a correspondence because I was kind of dismayed when I was reading into Pink's further readings down here, and like 5 or 6 pages down the road here, we mentioned it last week. He starts talking about how the Arminians and the anti-Arminians and all these other people that don't believe in this eternal security, or actually the perseverance of the saints, and it basically means the same thing: perseverance of the saints, eternal security. But Jim doesn't like that phrase, eternal security, for some odd reason. But we know what it means. That if you want to hit, you're going. And you're going to persevere, and you're going to be preserved. And there's certain things we got to do. It's not by works or anything, but it's Him working in us. And there's certain means to the ends, and there's exhortations, and all these exhortations and things wouldn't be in the Bible if it wasn't to set us on the right path. And we get admonished. He beats us, He punishes us, and he's telling us where to go, and we got to go. But there is an eternal security, and if you're regenerated, if you're born again, you're going, whether you like it or not. You can't buy your way into or out of heaven or hell. If He's gracing you to be one of His, you're gonna be one of His, and you're not gonna fall away or apostatize. Is what the Armenians call it. That someone who was graced with this eternal security or perseverance of the saints can fall away, and we know that can't happen. And we just spent how many weeks, months proving that through all the verses in the Bible, no matter what they try and say. And they come up with examples of people who were regenerate or born again or graced with this perseverance of the saints and graced with this eternal security, who have fallen away. And they throw up some names, and one of the names, the most obvious one they use is Judas. They well, he was one of God's one of Christ's apostles, and he fell away. But no, we know that he was a Jesus says, I've chosen you 12, and one of you is a devil from the beginning. So he knew right away that he wasn't one of his, and they'll use that. And then I'm reading Pink's book, and further on, they point to Adam, they point to King Saul, and then they kind of point to Solomon. But after reading it and rereading it and rereading it again, I realized that that Pink doesn't think Solomon fell away, but the antinomians think that Solomon fell away. So they put Judas, Solomon, Adam, believe it or not, and King Saul into this group that have fallen away. And surprisingly, Pink agrees not with the antinomians that someone who was regenerate can fall away, but that if they fell away, they were never regenerate to begin with. So that's the argument that he's making. So he's saying that Adam was never called of God and regenerate, and we know that's preposterous, because he was, and he is. And King Saul, you can say all kinds of things about King Saul, about how in the beginning there wasn't a goodly man. He was a good man, and but he did some terrible things. But he repented, and what's his name, when he called up Solomon, when he called up what's his name, Samuel. When he called up Samuel said, "You're going to die, and you're going to be with me today." So that means he's going with him. So he repented. So I don't even want to read the case for Adam and the case for King Saul, but the case for Solomon, he talks about it, and of course the case for Judas. We know he never was regenerate. So I'm not even going to bother reading that. And I'm gonna pass over that, but I'm still not up to that yet. That's it. That's in our future study here. But we were on this ninth chapter about the opposition. You know, the points that they throw in our faces. They're saying that, you know, it's not once saved, always saved. You can be saved and then fall away. And they throw all kinds of verses in our faces here. But we know that's not true. And we have some headings here. They assert that our doctrine deprives God's people of the sharpest bit which He has given for curtailing the flesh in them, and we know that's not true. There is punishment. You know, there's if we don't follow what he puts before us, we're going to be punished. And they talk about the fear of hell, but it's not so much the fear of hell that eggs us on. It's the fear of the Lord, or the fear of God, and that's a filial fear, and that's a lovely fear, and that's a reverential fear. It's not in the back of your mind there is that fear of hell. You don't want to go to hell, but we know that we love God and we fear God and we reverence God. So that's what keeps us going, because we know that the fear of punishment never really stops anybody from doing anything, but the love of God will stop you from doing things that you shouldn't be doing. And then they also said that by declaring that it neutralizes the force of exhortations, but we know that we have to run with patience the race that is set before us. And he goes on here, and let me check my notes here, see if I got something here. Neutralizes the force, and we got into desolation and destruction and destroy, and I might continue on with some of that because there are still some good verses in there, and this is the destruction. We got into the destroyer, the destruction. Let me see if I got some of these verses here. I got about 12 pages here, and this is desolation. I just wanted to finish up on some of these here that I was looking at. Desolation in the Old Testament here is Yasham. It's desolation and ruin. And let me I'll give you some Strong's numbers here, so you can follow along. But these verses here are good. You got 47:19, Genesis 47:19. Wherefore shall we die before thine eyes, both we and our land? Buy us and our land for bread, and we and our land will be servants unto Pharaoh, and give us seeds that we may live and not die, that the land be not desolate. So this desolate here is 34:56. That's Yasham, and it's 4 times. 34:56. Let me put this up here. 34:56, right? Did I get that right? Yeah, okay. Yeah. And Ezra 6:6, in all your dwelling places, the city shall be laid waste, and the high places shall be desolate. And there's Yasham. And what's this laid waste? Hold on. Laid waste is Karab, waste, dry up. Yeah, I did a little study on dry up, because it all has to do with the same thing. They're all synonymous, desolate and decay. But and then I did a study on the dry land and the dry ground. So if you look up dry land and dry ground, you'll get a lot of good verses, and a lot of these words will pop up here, this Karab. But right now we're doing this desolate and desolation. That your altars may be laid waste and made desolate, and your idols may be broken and cease, and your images may be cut down, and your works may be abolished. And that's Ezra talking. And there was a couple other words in here. What is this? Made desolate. Altars may be laid waste. That's the 2717. And made desolate. And this is 816. That's Asham. That's guilty. Okay. All right. And then another verse here is Ezra 12:19. And say unto the people of the land, thus saith the Lord God of the inhabitants of Jerusalem, of the land of Israel, they shall eat their bread with carefulness and drink their water with astonishment. And that was another good study. I got onto astonishment. I might jump into that a little bit later. And that her land may be desolate from all that is therein, because of the violence of all them, all that dwell therein. And this astonishment, 12:19. Astonishment is Shimamon. Let me see if I got that in my notes here. Shimamon. This is 2409. 2409. 2409. No, I didn't get to that one, but it's going to be in the list when I get into this study a little further on amazement, amazed, astonished, astonished, marveled, and it all has to do with something that's terrible too, terrible, trembling. I mean, we're going to get into all of that stuff, and all of these are synonymous. I got 2406. Here it is, 2409, 8047. I got 8074. Shamem. Now we did look at that. That's part of the desolate too. So it's desolate, astonished, desolation, Shamem, 2409. You know, it's a big read on that. We did that a while back. All right. So I do have that down there. But they're all connected. You know, all these words about destruction, desolation, destroy, being amazed, being astonished, being astonished, astonisheth. All of those words I looked up, and we got them down there now. And Ezekiel 19. Did I say Ezra? It's Ezekiel 19:7. And he knew their desolate places, and he laid waste their cities, and the land was desolate, and the fullness thereof by the noise of the roaring. And you can see desolate in there, a couple of desolate places. 490. This don't look familiar here. Let me look at this. Almanah, widow, desolate house. Okay, so that's not really. Alma is the word for the mama or something like that. Alma, like alma mater. And this is a widow or desolate house. Okay, and it has to do with forsaken, alman, widowed, forsaken, and alam is dumb, put to silence. So. And he knew their desolate place, and he laid waste. There's that word again, waste, karab, waste, dry up. I got a bunch of words on that too. Let's see, that's good. So that was the TWOT 927, talking about desolation. Let me see. Psalms 55:15. Let death seize upon them, and let them go down quick into hell, Sheol, for wickedness is in their dwellings, and among them desolation. Let desolation come upon them. So, and then Yeshiman, waste, desert, wilderness. Frequently, Yeshiman is parallel with the wilderness, the Midbar, and translated desert. Okay, but I'm looking for the stuff where God just makes the land desolate, you know, and we'll get into that too. And this one here is devastation, ruin, desolation, noise, destruction, desolation. The word is used in a desert scene. Let me see. Perhaps a similar scene is in the inhabited land is described in Job 8:27. To satisfy the desolate and waste ground, and to cause the bud of the tender herb to spring forth. I'm looking for where God destroys. That's basically what we're looking for. Describes a day. Yeah, Zephaniah 1:15. That day is a day of wrath, a day of trouble and distress, a day of wasteness. See all these synonymous words: trouble, distress, wasteness, desolation. And you'd have to look up all of these words: a day of darkness and gloominess, a day of clouds and thick darkness. And the word here is desolation. That's the Meshoah. And it describes the day of the Lord. It's a day of ruin. And let me see, the unpredictability and swiftness of such devastation is underscored by Isaiah 47 and 11, where he says, "Therefore shall evil come upon thee, thou shalt not know from whence it riseth, and mischief shall fall upon thee, thou shalt not be able to put it off, and desolation shall come upon thee suddenly, which thou shalt not know." And Isaiah 47, he's talking to Israel there, and a lament for Babylon, and God's own on God's own backslidden people. So this Isaiah 47:11 is talking about Babylon, but this Isaiah 10:3 is talking about Jerusalem. Northern Israel. And what will you do in the day of visitation and in the desolation which shall come from far, from Babylon? To whom will you flee for help, and where will you leave your glory? So there's the desolation there. That's the Meshoah. So the ruin, devastation, always uses the following word, Shoah. And Job 30, twice the word appears in the plural. In Psalm 73:18, surely thou didst set them in slippery places and castest them down into destruction. Most likely talking about the grave there, into hell. And Psalms 74:3, lift up thy feet unto the perpetual desolations, even all that the enemy hath done wickedly in the sanctuary. So that was a quickie on we're ending up on a desolation. We did a whole bunch of stuff on destruction and desolation, but I just wanted to get these last two out of the way here. Let me get this one here, and we got, we'll look at these verses quick, if we can do anything quick. Isaiah 1:8, and the daughter of Zion is left as a cottage in the vineyard, as a lodge in the garden of cucumbers, as a besieged city. A besieged city. And we know what a person that's a city that's besieged. Well, this is Natsah, which is to keep or to observe or to watch, or to besiege, to watch, like nobody gets in, nobody gets out. And the city in Isaiah 24:12, in the city is left desolation, and the gate is smitten with destruction. So we got desolation here is what we were just looking at there. That's Shamam or Shama. And then it is smitten with destruction. What's smitten? Real quick. Kathath, beat, destroyed, beat down, break in pieces. That's another good word. I don't even know if I have that on here. I might have it in there somewhere. TWOT 1062. Crushed to pieces, crushed fine, beat. All right. So it's really doesn't have much to do with our particular instance, but beat down, break in pieces, good. And of course, this destruction here, 7591, She'iyal, destruction, one time here, and it's TWOT 2301, and that's ruin, or ruin, yeah, Sha'on, raw. And let me see, more crowd and horrible pit. It's constantly Hamon. Okay, get that. More destruction. Okay, Jeremiah 2:15. The young lions roared upon him and yelled, and they made his land waste. His cities are burned without habitation. You know, when he's not talking about literal lions, you know, he's talking about Babylon, Persia, Greece, Rome, and all that stuff. So he's talking about people. When he talks about waters, he's talking about people. And Jeremiah 9:11. And I will make Jerusalem heaps and a den of dragons, and I will make the cities of Judah desolate, without an inhabitant. Desolate is Shama. There it is again. There's a bunch of different words. You got the noun, feminine noun, the verb, masculine noun. So this is the noun, feminine. Here's an adjective, shaman. And the verb, of course, is shamem. That's desolate. So you got 3 or 4 different words here for desolation, depending on the gender and the other things there. Burn the edge. It's 9:11. Jeremiah 9:11. Jeremiah 12:11. They have made it desolate, and being desolate, it mourneth unto me. The whole land is made desolate, because no man layeth it to heart. So you got these 3, 80, 76. Shamem, the adjective, the feminine noun, shama. The whole land is made desolate, and you got 3 of them here. You got the adjective, the noun, and the verb. So you got all of them in there. All right. And then 19:18, he says, I will make this city desolate, and the hissing, everyone that passes thereby shall be astonished. And here's astonished here, and hiss because of all the plagues thereof. And we'll get into astonished is shamem. Okay, look at that. 80:74, and this is 80:47, and it's 24:09. And it's 24:09. It's the same thing. Look at that. 80:74. I thought I was dyslexic for a while because I got 80:47 and 80:74. And so I always get the numbers turned around. Okay. And Lamentations, the ways of Zion do mourn, because none come to the solemn feast. All her gates are desolate. Her priests sigh. Her virgins are afflicted, and she is in bitterness. So we got affliction here. Yagar, afflict, grieve, cause grief, and bitterness. Marar. Oh, Marah, Mary, bitter. Okay, that's what we get Mary from, Mary. Marar. She was bitter. Let me see. 5:18, Lamentations, because the mountain of Zion, which is desolate, the foxes walk upon it. Ezekiel 20:26, and I polluted them in their own gifts, in that they caused to pass through the fire, all that openeth the womb. So this is what they did. They sacrificed their children to Malcolm or Milcom or Moloch. And it says, and I polluted them in their own gifts, in that they caused to pass through the fire all that openeth the womb, the matrix, and that I made them desolate, to the end that they might know that I am the Lord. So we don't follow what he wants us to do. He's going to destroy us for our own good. But like, he's not going to wipe everybody out, because there is a remnant, Ezekiel 33:28. For I will lay the land most desolate, and the pomp of her strength shall cease, and the mountains of Israel shall be desolate, and none shall pass through them. So we're getting the gist of what he's going to do here. So that's 80:77 and 80:74. Okay, Amos 7:9, and the high places of Isaac shall be desolate, and the sanctuaries of Israel shall be laid waste, and I will rise against the house of Jeroboam or Jeroboam with the sword. And this desolate is that one, and the other one is that one. Okay. And Micah 3:12, therefore shall Zion for your own sake be plowed as a field, and Jerusalem shall become heaps, and the mountains of the houses as the high places of the forests. So Zion for your sake shall be plowed as a field. So he's doing it for them. And then Matthew, we got something in the New Testament here. Behold, your house is left unto you desolate. And this word desolate here is eremos. Eremos. It's a wilderness or a desert, solitary, lonely. So you can be in the desert. And this one here, look at these quick if we can. This is the desolation of the heathen nations. And by the way, those things are in the back of your book. I forgot to give you the numbers. the treasury of scripture knowledge, whenever you see that, the themes are in the back of the book. Desolation. So okay, that would be if you have your Thompson chain, you would find these themes in the back of the Thompson chain Bible under Desolation, and the numbers would be 986 and 987. So if you're writing that down, if you're interested in looking at the back of the Thompson Chain Bible, if you have that, theme number 986 and 987 is where you'll find all of these verses here. And I just was able to pluck them up and put them over here. Behold, Isaiah 13 and 9. The day of the Lord cometh cruel, both with wrath and fierce anger, to lay the land desolate, and he shall destroy the sinners thereof out of it. So, not only Israel, but just about anybody that doesn't follow what he wants them to do, if he wants them to do it, whether you're his or not. I mean, if you're his, he's going to beat you until you come to repentance. If you're not his, he's just going to send you to hell. It's as simple as that. So there's the astonishment, the shaman, and destroy. So it's basically the same thing. Shamad, shaman, TWOT 2409. Oh, this is 2406. Okay. So you got 2409, TWOT 2409, and TWOT 2406. See, destroy. Take this meaning, kind for examples, to be complete. Okay, yeah. But may in the PL mean to put an end to or destroy. Like teleos is complete, but it also means to put an end to it. It could also mean destruction too. The object of destruction occurring with shamad are mostly persons, whether a nation, a group of nations, or a family. Of the 63 occurrences of the verb, and only 4 is the object of destruction other than personal. The destruction depicted by shamad usually involves a rather sudden catastrophe, such as warfare or a mass killing, but in one passage is a result of attrition due to famine and oppression. In Deuteronomy 28, well, we know that one. That's Deuteronomy 28 and Leviticus 26 when he talks about the cursings and the blessings. I'll bless you if you do this, and I'll curse you if you do that. So in yet another passage, God is depicted as the basic cause of destruction, shamad, while his people are his instruments of destruction. Let me look at this Deuteronomy real quick here. Therefore, Deuteronomy 28:48, therefore shall you serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things, and he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. And this is Deuteronomy 28, where he talks about the cursings and the blessings. So I guess this is part of the cursings here. And in 63, he says, and it shall come to pass that as the Lord has rejoiced over you to do you good and to multiply you, so the Lord will rejoice over you to destroy you and to bring you to naught, and you shall be plucked off from the land whither you go to possess it. And it's not that he's literally rejoicing over that. Deuteronomy 9:3, understand this, therefore this day, that the Lord thy God is he which goeth over before thee as a consuming fire, he shall destroy them. This is before they go into the land. And he shall bring them down before thy face, thou shalt drive them out and destroy them quickly, as the Lord had said unto thee. So that's in the beginning, Deuteronomy 9, when he's going to send them in. So this destruction may be permanent, as in Moab, or 28:42. And Moab shall be destroyed from being a people, because he had magnified himself against the Lord. Jacob, 34:30. And Jacob said to Simeon and Levi, after they went in and they beat and killed Shechem, the Shechemites, he says, you have troubled me to make me to stink among the inhabitants of the land, among the Canaanites and the Perizzites, and I, being few in number, they shall gather themselves together against me and slay me, and I shall be destroyed, I and my house. But we know that didn't happen. But Simeon and Levi did some bad stuff. And of course, God's enemies in Psalms 83:11, make their nobles like Oreb and like Zeb, yea, all their princes like Zeba and Zalmona. And all you got to do is look up these places to find out what happened here. You look up Oreb. We'll go to ISBE, find out Oreb. It's also for Mount Horeb. Okay, and Oreb, Raven, a prince of Midian, who, being defeated by Gideon and put to straits, was slain along with Zeb. So you'll read about Oreb and Zeb in Judges 7:20-25, if you're interested. And many of the Midianites perished along with him. So that's Oreb. And then you'll go to, what's his name here? Zeb. We'll find out about Zeb here. We'll look it up real quick in Easton's dictionary. The wolf. It means the wolf. One of the two leaders of the great Midianite host, which invaded Israel and was utterly routed by Gideon. So these two go together, Oreb and Zeb. Okay, so, and the other one here is Zeba and Zalmona. Zeba, see what Easton says, Zeba, man killer, or sacrifice. That's what the word means. One of the two kings who led the vast host of Midianites who invaded the land of Israel, and over whom Gideon gained the great and decisive victory. So Zeba and Zalmunna had exceeded, what does it say? One of the two kings of Midian, whom the Lord delivered into the hands of Gideon. He was slain afterwards with Zeba. So there you go. With a little history on Zeba, Oreb, Zeb, Zeba, and Zalmunna. Impermanent destruction, as in 2 Kings 10:28, in which Baalism was destroyed, but whose roots remained, and which reemerged again in 2 Kings. So they put down Baal, and then it was reinstituted again, and it's always been put down and reinstituted throughout the history, and it's reinstituted today as Christmas. So as Baal in the Grove. We got it today. All right. And he brought to waste and brought to silence, perpetual desolations, 25:12, desolations. This is all the same word, shamam. All right. So this is what he's doing to the nations around Israel. Okay. Good. So desolation and destruction, we did pretty good on those studies. We got a lot of stuff done on that, and we're going to move into something else here. And we got the terrors of the Lord. You know, we talk about God being great and terrible, but there was. See if I'm hooked up for this now. I got this heading, God is a terrorist. I think Jim might have even had a message labeled that, but I don't know. But anyway, I'm saying we talk about the terror of the Lord, and let me give you this here. Okay, I just punched in the word terror, and I got 30 verses with just the word terror. So you're talking, there's different Strong's numbers here. But look at all the TWOT. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, at least 8 TWOT numbers for this terror. And we'll look at some themes here. These themes are also in the back of your Thompson chain. If you want to look in the back of your Thompson chain, you'll find this number 857 on page 857 in the Thompson chain. And what's the other one? 858. So 857 and 858, you'll find these in the back of your Thompson chain, these two pages here. But look at all of this. I mean, come on. Baal, to be disturbed, disturb, alarm, terrified, to hurry, sudden terror, alarm. And we can sit here reading this all day. But TWOT 207, let me see if I got some of them written down that I was going to get to. Actually, it wasn't the terror so much, but I want to get this page out of here because I had it up there for a long time. So as you can see, there's a lot of stuff on this. Alarm, that's the Red Sea, but there was a couple of numbers that stuck out to me. 247, let me see, 247. That's Bala, that's trouble or destruction. Ezra 4:4. Then the people of the land weakened the hands of the people of Judah and troubled them in building. Okay, that's what that means, Bahal there. But this one here, 265, Ba'at, to be overtaken by sudden terror, to terrify, terror, dismay, terrors, alarms occasioned by God. Oh, good, this is our wheelhouse here. Half of the occurrences are in poetry, two synonymous, pakad, and we'll look at pakad, means to tremble, and hatat, I think I have that also down here too, to be filled with terror. Ba'at is closest to hatat. The RSV more consistently and appropriately renders ba'at with the stronger term terrify. The ASV occasionally uses make afraid. And we have the word yareh also that goes with pakad. So though men may be the occasion of terror, as in Esther 7:6, we got to talk about Haman. Job 13:11 is, let me see, shall not his excellency make you afraid, and his dread fall upon you? And Job 15:24, trouble and anguish shall make him afraid, and they shall prevail against him as a king ready to the battle. Men may occasion the terror. It is primarily Yahweh that strikes terror. David is terrified when confronted with the sword-carrying angel in First Chronicles 21:30. He says, but David could not go before it to inquire of God, for he was afraid because of the sword of the angel of God. And that's when he went down and started killing all the innocent people. and the angel was standing there with the sword. Saul was terrorized by an evil spirit from Yahweh when he took the spirit away from him. He says, but the spirit of the Lord departed from Saul, and an evil spirit from the Lord troubled him. So this is God troubling him, terrorizing him. Visions regarded as from God, being terror, as shown in the account of Eliphaz, and you can read about that in Job 4:14. Fear came upon them and trembling, which made all my bones to shake. Like that. And Job's comment in Job 7:14, he says, then thou scarest me with dreams and terrified me through visions. So God really did a number on him. And it was God who did it, so God will terrorize you. The coming of God, even via the angel Gabriel, strikes terror in the heart of Daniel, and his devout servant falls to his face. In Daniel 8:17, I'd be scared too. So he came there when I stood, and when he came, I was afraid, and I fell upon my face. But he said unto me, understand, O son of man, for at the time of the end shall be the vision. And Gabriel gave Daniel all these visions and showed him all these things. But when he first saw him, he fell on his face. And Gabriel had to assure him that, hey, I'm just here to give you some information, pal. Get up. And Daniel went on to write some great stuff. This experience is helpful in understanding the background against which Job makes his request. He's that God not intimidate Ba'at him with his power and dread. And we know what God did to him. Job 9:34. Let him take his rod away from me, and let not his fear terrify me. And easily, this is the words Bahat. Withdraw thine hand from me, and let not thy dread make me afraid. And we could look at all these verses in here, but all these Strong's numbers. But we'll run into them. The wicked have every reason to be terrified because they stretch forth their hand against God. Job 15:24. Trouble and anguish shall make him afraid, They shall prevail against him as a king ready to battle. So Ba'at is the reaction of both saint and sinner who experience Yahweh. Ba'at underlies the greatness and the overpowering aspect of God. Before such a God, reverence and awe, at the least, are demanded. That's good stuff. So the fear, the reverence, and the awe should go in front of that. And this other one here is to be afraid, to stand in awe, fear, terror. And the word is Magur or Gur or Megorah. A great number. Let me see. The Moabites feared Israel. False prophets are not to turn the people from God. Impress, then frighten Saul. See God in the flesh. Job rejects the implied charge of secrecy and avowing his innocency and claiming that he would see God in the flesh. Therefore, his slanderers should fear judgment. And it talks about Leviathan, strikes fear in the mighty men of the earth. Job 19:29. Be afraid of the sword, for wrath bringeth the punishments of the sword, that ye may know there is judgment. 41:25. When he raised himself up, the mighty are afraid. By reason of breakings, they purify themselves. The Lord is pictured as fearing the boasters of the heathen if they chasten Israel. Deuteronomy 32:27. Were it not that I feared the wrath of the enemy, lest their adversaries should behave themselves strangely, unless they should say, our hand is high, and the Lord had done all this. Fear, Magor, Magera, fear, terror. Hosea 10:5. The inhabitants of Samaria shall fear because of the calves of the Bethaven. For the people thereof shall mourn over it, and the priests thereof that rejoice on it, for the glory thereof, because it is departed from them. All right. Let me see this down. Horror occurs less frequently than Yareh. Now, Yareh is fear, or Pachad, that's fear, and Magor. That's what we're looking at now. Has the more extreme sense of terror. In contrast to Yareh, that's like the fear of the Lord. The Yareh of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, which is more restrained. Psalms 31:13, he says, for I have heard the slander of many. Fear was on every side. While they took counsel together against me, they devised to take away my life. Psalms 111:10. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. A good understanding have all they that do his commandments. His praise endureth forever. And Psalms 19:9. The fear of the Lord is clean, enduring forever. The judgments of the Lord are true and righteous altogether. And I think this is the Magora word, or it could be Yareh, but either way, it's the same thing. It's the fear. Like I said, this Magora is more intense fear than Yareh. Yareh is like a reverent fear. Proverbs 14:26. In the fear of the Lord is strong confidence, and his children shall have a place of refuge. Deliverance from the terror of human caprice rests in God. Psalms 34:4. I sought the Lord, and he heard me, and he delivered me from all my fears. I'd like to see what the Strong's number on these, but I'm pretty sure it's Magor, because that's what we're looking at here. We're looking at Magor. Magor, Misabib, terror on every side. Jeremiah 6:25. Go not forth into the field, nor walk by the way, for the sword of the enemy and fear is on every side. I'm just curious for something here. This is 3. I'm going to look at these real quick here. Bear with me. I wanted to see what these Strong's numbers are. Fear is 4032. Yeah, it is Magor. Okay. Fear was on every side. So it's not Yareh. So all those numbers down there, these are all Magor. Magor. That's Magor. Oh, this is Yareh. This is 33. This is Yerah. fear exceedingly, and this is Yahweh. So it is Yahweh, and that's the fear of the Lord. So it's synonymous with Megor and Pakad, and we'll look at Pakad too. There's a lot of stuff on Pakad. And this TWOT 540, tremble, quiver, to be in terror. Trembling in fear. Mordecai's failure to tremble before Haman, making to tremble, horror. Term you describe God's people as a result of God's judgment. The severity and extent of God's judgment is such that they became a horror to the observing nations. So, and we looked up horror too. I got horror down on my list. Deuteronomy 28. Here we go again with Deuteronomy 28. The Lord shall cause thee to be smitten before thine enemies. Thou shalt go one way out against them and flee 7 ways before them, and shall be removed into all the kingdoms of the earth. And Jeremiah 15:4, I will cause them to be removed into all kingdoms of the earth because of Manasseh, the son of Hezekiah, king of Judah, for that which he did in Jerusalem. And we know that what he did, he shed more blood than anybody, and he had his son pass through the fire. Jeremiah 34:17. Therefore, thus saith the Lord, you have not hearkened unto me in proclaiming liberty, every one to his brother, and every man to his neighbor. Behold, I proclaim liberty for you, saith the Lord, to the sword, to the pestilence, to the famine, and I will make you to be removed into all the kings of the earth. So you got sword, famine, pestilence, and beast right there in 34:17. So you don't want to proclaim liberty for your brothers and your neighbors? I'll proclaim liberty for you. You're going to go into captivity. That's your liberty. In other contexts, the extent of judgment and horror are amplified by derision. Ooh, we're getting into some good stuff here. 2 Chronicles 98:29-8. Wherefore the wrath of the Lord was upon Judah and Jerusalem, and he hath delivered them to trouble, to astonishment, and to hissing, as you see with your eyes, and being the object of, what was I? An object of plunder. Ezekiel 23:46, for thus saith the Lord God, I will bring up a company upon them, and will give them to be removed and spoiled. That's all good stuff here. Terror. Look at this other one. This is the hatat that they were talking about, to be broken, to be abolished. Terror, feared, shattered, dismayed, destruction, ruin, terror. So basically it means that the idea is to be broken. Literal breaking, abstract destruction, and demoralization and terror. See, get some verses here. The destruction of Misgab, military leaders, defeated nations, classes of people. Job's 3 friends, after they gave up arguing with Job, demoralization. Job 32:15, they were amazed. They answered no more. They left off speaking. So these guys couldn't believe what they were hearing from Job as he tried to say that he was righteous. Ephraim is shattered. God's enemies will be broken in pieces. Whoops. His enemies will be broken in pieces. 1 Samuel 2:10. The adversaries of the Lord shall be broken in pieces. Out of heaven shall he thunder upon them. The Lord shall judge to the ends of the earth, and he shall give strength unto his king and exalt the horn of his anointed. That's the might. However, God's righteousness shall never be broken. The meaning to fear is several times attested in passages where the Niphal parallels other terms for fearing. It describes the terror of the Hebrew army at Goliath's challenge. It appears in a negative command not to fear, and like other verbs of fearing, like yareh and pakad, we'll look at those. It can refer to awe or reverence, as in revering God's name. Malachi 2:5. He says, my covenant was with him of life and peace, and I gave them to him for the fear wherewith he feared me and was afraid before my name. I'd like to see those strong numbers there. Hold on a second. Strong's numbers for that is where I don't know what verse that was. Let me see. Use ones for supernatural terror. Job's state, no. Emotional fear. Which one were we just looking at? Oh, Malachi. Here we go. Malachi 2:5. My covenant was with him in peace I gave him, that he, for the fear, Morah, that's it. It's 907. Okay, 907. That's part of Yahweh. Okay, fear, terror, dread, terribleness. Wherewith he feared me, and that's the same word. Yahweh and Morah, basically the same thing. One's the verb, and one's the masculine noun. And was afraid before me. And this is the 784 that we're looking up. Was katat, was afraid before me. So all these synonymous words, they all go together. Okay, other derived stems developed a meaning. You terrified me. Job 7:14. Most authorities regard the PL of Jeremiah 51:56 as a textual error and translated passively. Bones are broken. What are they talking about here? So when it talks about PL, we know PL, Nifal, these are all types of the verbs you'll see, is because the spoiler is to come upon her in Babylon, and her mighty men are taken, every one their bow is broken, for the Lord God recompenses shall surely requite. And bones are broken. But spoils upon her mighty men are taken, and every one of their bows is broken. So they think it's a textual error here, and its bones are broken. But this is kashet, so it's a bow. And broken, here we go, katat. That's the word we're looking at, katat. And you'll see in this here, it is a PL perfect verb. Now, PL is just like the kal is the simplest form of the verb. Like he broke, he sent, he counted. But the PL is another form of the verb, and it's instead of saying he broke, it's he broke to pieces, or he smashed, or he sent away. So don't ask me how they come up with this, but there's different types of verbs here. It's intensive or intentional action. Instead of like, he broke the vase, well, he smashed it to pieces. So there's different types of verbs. This is PL, cal, right? And also it's perfect. So stem in the mood, it's perfect. It's one time only, actually. And it's like the aorist indicative is past tense, and the tense, the mood and the voice. And we can't get into that. I'm not an English teacher anyway, so I can't teach that stuff. But I just, I looked into these things, and I found out that there are different types of verbs. Yeah, well, there's another one. It's the hifil. When you see these words, don't be afraid of them. PL, hifil, nifil. These are just different types of verbs, meanings of the verbs. And it's a causative meaning, to break, as in Isaiah 9:4. And you'll see, for thou hast broken the yoke of his burden and the staff of his shoulder, the rod of his oppressor, as in the day of Midian. So you look up broken, and that's the word we're looking at. That's katat. And you'll find out it's a verb. And what does this mean here? This is the... Stop it. All right. Here we go. It's the hifil. So instead of the cal or the PL or the nifil, it's a hifil. And hifil is just, see, they compare everything to cal, QAL. Cal is the form of the verb that's like 68% of the verbs are in the cal form. This Hifil form might be about 10 to 12% of the verbs are in this. So the Kal is the simple he ate, he came, he reigned. And the Hifil is he caused to eat, or he fed, he caused to come, or he brought, he crowned. So that's the difference between the Kal and the Hifal. As you can see here, the Kal is the most frequently used verb pattern and expresses the simple or the causal action of the root. He sat, he ate, he went. So that's 67%. Oh yeah, this one down here is 13.3% of the verbs are Hifil. But you'll see mostly they're Kal. It's the simple form of the verb. I'll give you a quick history of the English lesson here, but I don't know enough about it to I just go telling you what I'm reading here, you know. And to terrify, the difficult pattern. Okay, dread, fear, twice refers to intentional, emotional fear. Genesis 9:2. And the fear of you and the dread of you shall be upon every beast of the earth, upon every fowl of the air, upon all that moveth upon the earth, and all the fishes of the sea. And into your hands are they delivered. After he threw them out, you know, and after the flood. So let me see, Job 41:33. Upon earth there is not his like who is made without fear. I don't know, it's probably talking about Leviathan there. Demoralization, calamity, Job's state, calamity, terror, fear, use once. This one here, this is 35:5. And they journeyed, and the terror of God was upon the cities that were round about them, and they did not pursue after the sons of Jacob. So that's a good thing. Terror of the Lord, the katat of the Lord, or the kita. So this is the feminine noun. And we know that the Lord is not feminine, so it's the fear that they felt that he gave them, like just like orge, God's wrath. God's wrath is not orge. God's wrath is thumos. That's the masculine noun. But this terror was given to them, and it's not God's terror. It's the terror that they felt in themselves, which God caused them to feel. So, terror, destruction. So these are all good words. I'll just look for something here. All right. And like I said, the TWOT. This is studies that we could spend forever. And I'm zipping through these real quick. I just wanted to give you an idea of what it's like studying all this stuff. I mean, it's like 10 or 12 different TWOT numbers for the one synonym, you know. The terror of the Lord, Leviticus 26:16. I will also do this unto you. I will even appoint over you terror, consumption, the burning egg that shall consume the eyes and cause sorrow of heart, and you shall sow your seed in vain, for your enemies shall eat it. And this is the same thing that's in Deuteronomy 28, Leviticus 26, and Deuteronomy 28. It talks about the same things, the blessing and the curses. So this is part of the cursing. And we'll look up, these are two different words here. This is the terror. This is the one we just looked at. That's the kita. And this terror here is behala, 207. Yeah, we looked at that quickly. Okay. But like I said, the behala, the feminine noun, and bahal is the verb. Trouble, haste, be afraid, vexed, amazed. You'll see a lot of amazement in there. And then another verse here is Deuteronomy 32:25. The sword without and terror within shall destroy both the young man and the virgin, the suckling, and also the man with gray hairs. So everybody's going to be terrified. And we got this terror here is Amah, TWOT 80. I think I had these down here too. I'm going to look at, I got these TWOTs lined up somewhere. But this Amah is terror, Fear, terrible. You can see the 17 verses with this. 366 is Ayom, and there's 3 verses there. It's also the TWOT 80, meaning to frighten, terrible. Yeah. And then Deuteronomy 34:12, and then all that mighty hand and all the great terror which Moses showed in the sight of Israel. So this terror here is Morah. And we looked at that already. That's part of the Yareh. Morah, Yareh. All right. And we'll get some of these more numbers here. And here's the Pakad here. Where is it? Here we go. Next one. No. Pakad here. For destruction, and for destruction, we looked at the Ed, the calamity, destruction. We looked at that already a couple of weeks ago. Good word. From God was terror to me, and by reason of his highness I could not endure. And this is the word pakad here, is fear, dread. And the verb is pakad also, at different vowel points, that's all. And it's TWOT 1756, fear. And there's a lot of stuff here. You can't read all of this, but if you ever get into reading the TWOT 1756, you'll read all about Pakad and synonymous with Yareh and Katat, what we just looked at. And but it's mostly with Yareh. Pakad and Yareh are together a lot. And look at all this. You can't read all of this. All right. Fear, feminine Pakad, used once referring to fear of God as an inner attitude lacking in Jews' hearts. Jeremiah 2:19, he says, thine own wickedness shall correct thee, and thy backsliding shall reprove thee. Know therefore and see that it is an evil thing and bitter, that thou hast forsaken the Lord thy God, and that my fear, my pakad, is not in thee, saith the Lord God of hosts. And the behemoth is area. And you can look at TDNT 9, starting on page 203. Do I have that up down there? I have it. I have the book out, but I don't think I have this page open to this. Page 203. Let's see what that is. 203. Like if you went to TDNT 9 and looked at page 203, you'll see phobeo. So this is phobos or phobeo, and when you put phobos or phobeo into the Old Testament, a lot of the times it'll come up pakad. But this particular one is the fear of God occurs in a completely new form in the wisdom literature of Israel. Okay, let me see. Yeah, the original meaning of the verb pakad, best seen in Job 4:14. Job 4:14 is probably up here somewhere. Job 4:14. Job 4:14. There it is. The Hefil caused the fear. Fear came upon me and trembling, which made all my bones to shake. Okay. 4:14. It means to quake, so that it means trembling for fear or joy, or with al, to come trembling to someone. Hosea 3:5, to quake continually, and in to cause to quake. So you got Hosea 3:5, and let me put them up over here. Hold on, Hosea 3:5. Just to look at them quick, because they're throwing into the Old Testament. They're looking at phobeo, and they're throwing it into the Old Testament, and this is what you come up with. Afterward shall the children of Israel return and seek the Lord their God, and David the king shall fear the Lord and his goodness in the latter days. And I'm sure this is pakad here. Yeah, 63:42. So In other words, if you took phobeo, let me see if I can find the Strong's number, because phobeo is a big read in the theological dictionary. Let's see if I have the numbers here, and I don't. Okay, I might have them in my book here. Give me a second. Phobeo. I just want to put it into the just to show you here what happens when you put these words in the Septuagint, actually. And I'm looking for the number, the Strong's number for phobos. Here it is, 5401. I think this might work. 5401. This is the eSword. If you have eSword, it's great. You can go into the Septuagint here, and you put in the G, what did I say, 5401. And it gives you all of the Greek. This is the Greek 5401 is phobeo, or phobos. And when you put it in the Septuagint, you got 124 matches for the word. All right, so the first one would be in Genesis 9:2, and the fear of you and the dread of you. So this fear is the one we just looked at before. That's Morah, and the dread of you shall be peace on the earth, and that's Morah. I'm looking for a pakad here. 15:12. When the sun was going down, deep sleep fell upon Absalom. A horror of great darkness fell upon him. So the horror here, that's the Amor. So these are all synonymous with phobeo or phobos. This is the word here, is phobos. And there's a whole bunch of other connected with this. You got 5399, which is phobeo. 5400 is phobitron, a frightening thing. 5401, of course, is the phobos. 5402, there's a couple of different ones here. We'll get into that later on. But this is what we can do. There's things we can do to find out where these Greek words can be found when they're translated from the Septuagint. The God of Abraham, the God of the Neurohr, the God of the father Jacob betwixt us and Jacob swear by the fear of his father Isaac. That's in Genesis 31:53, and here's the pakad right there. All right, so we found one, Genesis 31:53. So in the Septuagint, it would be phobo. All right. So just something else to help us in our studies. We can jump around and back and forth. But all these words for terror, and there's 30 verses here with just the word terror. All right. And we got another one here is 4637. It is Ma'aratza, which is terror. It's one time in the Bible, so that's just that one verse, Isaiah 10:33. But you'll see that it comes from aratz, and it's afraid, fear, dread, terrible, to tremble, dread. And that's TWOT 1702. That's on my list. We'll get into that a little later if we can. Behold, the Lord of hosts shall lop the bow with terror, and the high ones of stature shall be hewn down, and the haughty shall be humbled. And that's that word. And then we got another terror here, which is 2283. This is chaga, or kaga. That's one time in the Bible. Compared 2287, Kagag, keep, TWOT 602, reeling. Not really. I don't have it on my list because it's really not one that gives us the fear that we're looking for, the terror that we're looking for. Some of them just mean, to be amazed. And that 367, that's the Ed, thine heart shall meditate terror, Where is the scribe? Where is Ziba? Where is he that counted the towers? 4288. I think we looked at that already. That's the Mekitah, destruction, terror. We looked at that. 28. Katath. 784. Destruction, terror, rune, Mahita. We go down to Mahita here. Hold on, Mahita. Destruction, rune, terror. The KJV and the ASV, dismaying. The RSV as horror. 3 meanings: literal, physical runes. Destruction in an abstract sense may be described in these verses, and an external object of terror, as in Jeremiah. In several passages, it is unclear whether abstract rune or an external terror is described. There are no clear examples in which this term refers to the internal emotion of terror. The rich man's wealth is his strong city. The destruction of the poor is their poverty. The way of the Lord is strength to the upright, but destruction shall be to the workers of iniquity. So that's that word, destruction. And 88, another one is 4032 is another one. Magor, we looked at that. That's fear, terror. All right. Let me read the verse here. 20 and 4. For thus saith the Lord, behold, I will make thee a terror to thyself and to all thy friends, and they shall fall by the sword of their enemies, and thine eyes shall behold it. And I will give all Judah into the hand of the king of Babylon, and he shall carry them captive to Babylon, and shall slay them with the sword. And there's a terror there. That's the terror. That's the Magor. All right. Well, it comes from Gur. Sojourn, abide, dwell. Well, we're looking at 332, actually. We got 2 strong numbers here, 2 TWOT numbers here. Yeah, abide. Okay. And this verse here is 4172 is Morah. That goes with Yareh. 32:21, and has brought forth thy people Israel out of the land of Egypt with signs and with wonders and with a strong hand and with a stretched out arm and with great terror. So that terror could be a good thing, but this with signs, that's the oath, right? That's oath, and wonders, Mofet, wonder, sign, miracle. Yafa, fair, beautiful. All right. And another terror here is Kitith. Kitith. We looked at this already. That's a feminine noun of the katath, the verb, the dismayed. This is terror. It's 8 times in the Bible as a feminine noun. And we probably read this. Let's see, Ezekiel 26:17. And they shall take up a lamentation for thee and say to thee, how art thou destroyed? Thou wast inhabited of seafaring men, the renowned city which was strong in the sea, she and her inhabitants, which caused their terror to be on all that haunt it. And that's in Ezekiel 26. And you got 17. So let's put this in context, and we'll get all 3 or 4 of these verses here. Now shall the isles tremble in the day of thy fall, yea, the isles that are in the sea shall be troubled at thy departure. For thus saith the Lord God, when I shall make thee a desolate city, and I'm sure we saw that word, desolate, 27:17, yes, is Karab. That's a waste, dry up, desolate city. Like the cities that are not inhabited, when I shall bring up the deep upon thee, and great waters shall cover thee. And what's he talking about there? He's talking about a people coming up. He's not talking about a tsunami, you know. He's talking about a tsunami of people. When I shall bring thee down with them that descend into the pit, with the people of old time, and shall set thee in the low parts of the earth, in places desolate. 27, 23. Korba, waste, desolation. Koreb, that's heat. Okay. Koreb. All right. That's the sword, the knife. And karab, waste. That's the big one. That's the verb. Karab, waste. So all these words are connected. Of old, with them down to the pit, that they be not inhabited, I shall set thee in the land of the living. I will make thee a terror, and thou shalt be no more. Though thou be sought for, yet shalt thou never be found again, saith the Lord. Whew, that's a terror. And that word terror here is 1091. That's Bahala. Let me look at this quick. Bahala. I got this on my list. Deuteronomy 247. Trouble, terror. Ezra 4:4. We probably read that 5 times already. 1089. Bala. So you got Balaha and Bala. Translated variant to be in trouble. 1091 and 1089. It's on my list. All right. And then I shall make thee a terror. We just read that. And the merchants among the people shall hiss at thee. Thou shalt be a terror, and never shall be any more. Ezekiel, talking about the terror. That's the Baal. Balaha. And there's Balaha again. And they shall know thee among the people, shall be astonished. There's astonished, and we're going to look at that if we get a chance. Astonished. Shamem. We did look at it already, but it's still on my list. Shamem. Never shall thou be any more. Whose graves are set in the sides of the pit, and our company is round about the grave, all of them slain, fallen by the sword, which caused terror in the land of the living. Terror. Kitith, in the land of the living. Where is Elam and all her multitude round about her grave, all them slain, fallen by the sword, which are gone down uncircumcised into the nether parts of the earth, which caused their terror in the land of the living. If they have borne their shame with them, they go down to the pit. So he's talking about all these Gentile nations bringing their terror. And then in 25, he says, they have set her a bed in the midst of the slain with all the multitude of graves around about him, all of them uncircumcised, slain by the sword. Their terror was caused in the land of the living. Yet they have borne their shame with them that go down to the pit. He's put in the midst of them that is slain. And then there is Meshach and Tubal and her multitude of graves around about him. And this is like a choir verse here. And all of them uncircumcised, slain by the sword, though they caused their terror in the land of the living. You see kind of a theme here, right? And then 27 talks about the fallen, uncircumcised, weapons of war, swords in their heads, down to the pits. But their iniquity shall be upon their bones, though they were the terror of the mighty in the land of the living. And then 30 talks about the princes of the north, all of them, and all the Zidonians, which are got down with the slain. So all these Gentiles are going down, being slain. The terror, they go down with them, even though they were a terror in the land of the living. And then he says in 32, he says, for I have caused my terror in the land of the living, and he shall be laid in the midst of the uncircumcised with them that are slain with the sword, even Pharaoh and all his multitude, saith the Lord. So that's the bottom line there. And that's the terror. That's the Kitith. What is it? Kitith. Who's got some teeth on that one? And there's 2 more verses. Here we got, the terror. Here's the Phobo in the New Testament. For the rulers are not a terror to good works, but to evil. Wilt thou then not be afraid of the power? Do that which is good, and thou shalt have praise of the same. So these terrors here, this is the phobos. We just looked a little bit at that, but if you go to TDNT9, there's got to be 20, 30 pages on phobos alone, all the different types of phobia. And then I like this one. This is like a theme verse here for this whole study. Knowing therefore the terror of the Lord, we persuade men, but we are made manifest unto God, and I trust are also made manifest in your consciences. So we know the terror of the Lord. We know the phobos of the Lord. And then First Peter, that's Corinthians 5:11, and First Peter 3:14. But and if you suffer for righteousness' sake, happy are ye, and be not afraid of their terror, neither be troubled. So we're not to be phobeo, which is a part of the phobos here. We're not to be afraid, and that's a noun, of their terror, which is the noun, the verb. We're not to be verb of their noun, neither be troubled. Tarasso, to agitate. So it was 30 verses just with the word terror. And if you looked at all of those different Strong's numbers, you'd have many other verses. Terror of the wicked. I don't know. I think we read this already. Yeah. Let me see something here. These are the themes in the back of the book. These are 857 and 858 in your Thompson chain. You find it under courage and fear. And yeah, I think we read this. Yeah, I think so. So, but if you look at the back, you'll find this in the Thompson chain, and there's a lot of good stuff there. And dread, what's this dread? Rats. Yeah, this is the 1702. I'm going to read all of this now. Hold on a second there. 35:5. We looked at these 4 verses here already. That's the Yare. Okay, this is the Ed. No, that's the Ema. Okay. This is the Bahala. And this is the Kita. So we looked at all of that. Let me get these out of here. I got to leave the pages here because I got some of these numbered. And here's horror. I looked at horror, shuddering, and shake, and we'll have to look at that at another day. But look at all of these here. We got a terrible thing. That's the Yare. All right. That's the terrible thing. That's the Yare. He said, behold, I make a covenant before all thy people. I will do marvels such as have not been done in all the earth or in any nation, and all the people among which thou art shall see the work of the Lord, for it is a terrible thing that I will do with thee. And this marvels is marvel, pala, wondrous, marvelous work, to be marvelous, wonderful. And sometimes that's terrible too, so. But it's he's going to do a terrible thing. And then this terrified, when you shall hear of wars and commotions, be not terrified. For these things must first come to pass, but the end is not by and by. Luke 21:19. So be terrified, and this terrified is toeo, is terrify. And as you can see, we'll get into all the synonyms here with this fear, terrify, and we'll look at all of these. We'll look at them, and we'll one at a time. And then Luke 24:37, he says, but they were terrified and affrighted, and supposes that they had seen a spirit when they probably saw him walking on the water. And this is affrighted is emphobos. And I got a lot of stuff on this is phobo, but it's emphobos, so it's the phobo, the phobos with the N in front of it. So it's in fear. You got to be in fear. Be affrighted and suppose that it's sin. And then Philippians 1:28, he says, "In nothing terrified by your adversaries, which to them is an evident token of perdition, but to you of salvation and that of God." So the things that cause our salvation is the thing that's going to send everybody else that isn't saved into perdition. And perdition is destruction. Perdition is apolia, perdition, destruction. We looked at this a couple of weeks ago when we were looking at destroy and destruction and ruin. So that's apolia, and it comes from, it's a derivative of apolumi, which means to perish and to destroy. And we looked at all of these verses have to do with this, and there's a lot of them. But these synonyms here for this 4426, what is this? Turo, terrified. It's only one time. Presumed derivative of ptuo, which means to spit. Ptu. Isn't that funny? What are you doing? You're spitting ptu, to spit. And then 4428 is putasso, putuso, which means to close, to fold up, to roll up. You look at all of it. We can't be bouncing around with all these words here. Fly, flying. 429 is patuo, it's a spit, and 3961 is pateo, which means to tread down, to tread under feet. Probably a derivative of peo, which means to strike or to smite. You could just bounce all over the Bible with some of these words here. But paturo is terrify. It's funny that it comes from spit, patu, a spittoon. That's funny. That's how we get a lot of our words, you know, Hebrew and Greek words, you know, yada, yada, yada. Yada, yada, yada. Yeah, I know. Synonyms. Ekplesso means to be astonished, to be struck with terror of a sudden and startling alarm, but like our astonish in popular use, often employed on comparatively slight occasions. And the 4422 is pateo, we just looked at that, to agitate with fear. And the 5141, the tremo, means to tremble, predominantly physical, so it's like a shaking. And of course, phobeo, 5399, is the general term used of protracted state, and that's fear. And I wanted to look at, I had a whole bunch of them up here. 1719, these are all connected. Afraid. They were afraid and bowed down their faces to the earth, and they said unto them, "Why seek ye the living among the dead?" When they went to see him in the grave, and he wasn't there. And this is the word emphobos. They were terrified and affrighted. What's that, terrified? Terrified, yeah, pateo, we just looked at that. All right. He was afraid, Acts 10:4. And when he looked on him, he was afraid. He said, "What is it, Lord?" And he said unto him, "Thy prayers and thine alms are come up for a memorial before God." And then 22:9, and they that were with me saw indeed the light and were afraid. So in fear is what it is, and phobos. But they heard not the voice of him that spake to me. And then Felix in Acts 24:25, and as he reasoned of righteousness, temperance, and judgment to come, Felix trembled and answered, "Go thy way, for this time when I have a convenient season, I will call for thee." They left him in prison for years. That's unbelievable. And Revelation 11:13, at the same hour there was a great earthquake, and the 10th part of the city fell, and in the earthquake was slain of men 7,000, and the remnant were affrighted and gave glory to God in heavens. And that comes from the phobos. That's the 5401, and you'll see all the verses that are in here. There's 44 verses with this word phobos, terror, fear. We can't read all of these. And then what's the other one? 5399. 5399. This is another fear. So this is the verb fear, and this is the masculine noun fear, the 5401. So, and you can see there's 90 verses here. We can't read all of that. And then 5398. 5398 is fearful. This is easy. We can read this, Hebrews 10:27. But a certain fearful looking for of judgment and fiery indignation, which shall devour the adversaries. And 10:31, it's a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living God. And 12:21, and so terrible was the sight that Moses said, I exceedingly fear and quake. So you got a couple of them in there. When it says exceedingly fear, this is 1630. We're going to put that up here. 1630 is 2 times. It's ekphobos. That means out of your mind with fear. Ek, out, phobos, stricken with fear. So you got in fear, and then ek fear, out of your mind with fear. For you wist not what to say, for they were sore afraid, exceedingly fear, and quake. What's quake? Is that even here? Quake 1790. That's the tremble. We're going to get into that. There's a whole bunch of words on tromos too. I just want to put them up real quick. But this, and then there's 5398, backing up to that. Wait a second. Yeah, okay. 5398 is the adjective phoberos, fearful, terrible. We got some stuff here. Delia is fear. 1167. It comes from 1169. That's timidity, fearfulness, and cowardice. Delia. I didn't write these down, but I guess we'll put them there now. And delios, which is fearful, and that's 1169. So you got 1167 and 1169. Maybe I'll write them down real quick. 1167, 1169. Just put that up there in the corner. And 2124 is eulabia, godly fear. Okay. Godly fear, caution. I should look at these verses here. Godly fear, and eulabes, which means devout. It comes from well, you, and lambano, to receive, well received. Oh, I lost my, well received. Yeah, I was looking at these synonyms here. Hold on, let me put this over here. I'll put that up there. Oh boy. I'm going to get another page here. I want to put these verses up. I'm curious. 1167 and 1169, I said, right? 1167 and 1169. Okay, that's one verse. And 1169. It's 3 verses. For God hath not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and love and of sound mind. Dalia, spirit of fear. And he says in Matthew 8:26, why are you fearful, O ye of little faith? He arose and he rebuked the wind and the sea, and there was calm. So this is a different type of fear. This is Dios, from Dios, meaning dread, timid, fearful. So it's not like a trembling ekphobos. You know, it's timid. And he says, same thing in Mark 4:40. And in Revelation 21:8, he says, but the fearful and unbelieving and abominable murderers, whoremongers, sorcerers, idolaters, and liars shall have their part in the lake which burneth with fire and brimstone, which is the second death. Twice dead, plucked up. All right, that's good words. And then the other one here, what was it? 11, whoops. 11, I lost the spot. You know what? I can find it over here. All right, no, I guess not. Let me see, 1167, I'll find it here. I want to get those synonyms again. Up. There we go. this, close this, close this, and close this. 21:24 is Hebrews 5:7. Who in the days of his flesh, when he had offered up prayers and supplications with strong crying and tears unto him that was able to save him from death, and was heard in him that he feared. And this feared is eulabia, well receiving. It's a godly fear, but it's a well, and labia is lambano, which means to receive or to take. All right. 12:28. Wherefore we, receiving a kingdom which cannot be moved, let us have grace, whereby we may serve God acceptably with reverence and godly fear. And this reverence is aidos, shamefacedness, reverence. Look at all the synonyms. Look at this. We could sit here all night. Aidos, aiskune, shame, dishonesty, and trophe, shame. So these are all the words for shame, I guess. Sobriety, soberness, soundness of mind. Sophrone, sophron, soper, temerkin. We can't do this. That's reverence. So this fear is the eulabia. And then the other one, of course, is the one we looked at already. Phoberos, 5398. We got them all lined up already. Let me get this out of here, make some room. All right, so that's the eulabia, 1630, quake, and fear. And I'm looking at 1719, 5399, and then 1630, and 1719. So all of these would go together. And there's a few more. I don't have them written down right now, but the you got the M phobos, you got the ek phobos, all right. You got the phoberos, the phobeo, which is the verb, and the phobos, which is the masculine noun. So that's fun. And you'll find these all in the Theological Dictionary 9, starting basically on page 189 and going forever. And you'll have fun with all of that. 5401. Okay. And then there's this word, where is it? I have some more stuff here on the in the New Testament. Let me close this. 2048 and 2049. 2048, right? No, oh, that's the wilderness thing. Okay, and 2049, I was looking at dry land, things like that, and desolation. So this is desolation here, which is eramuo, bring to desolation, desolate, to lay desolation, and it has a lot to do with, wilderness and stuff like that. And Jesus knew their thoughts and said unto them, every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation, and every city or house divided against itself shall not stand. Which we know is true, but he was talking about when they said he was of Beelzebub, and he says, if I cast out demons in the name of demons, then what good is that? I'd be divided against myself. Let me see. And then Revelation 17:16, and the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. And we know what these 10 horns are. That's the 10 tribes. And 18:17, for in 1 hour so great riches has come to naught, and every shipmaster and all the company of ships and FedEx and UPS and sailors and as many as trade by the sea stood afar off. And they cast dust upon their heads and cried, weeping and saying, alas, alas, that great city, America, wherein we were made rich, all that had ships in the sea by reason of her costliness. For 1 hour she is made desolate. And that's what it's going to seem like when this comes crashing down. And then 2048, of course, is part of this. And this is the wilderness, desert, eremos, wilderness, desert, solitary. And there's a lot of verses there. But there was another one here. I got the 34:43. Look at that real quick. I just got these written down, and I got to get to them. Otherwise, they're going to drive me crazy if I don't. Let me see. Now, she that is a widow indeed and desolate trusteth in God and continueth in supplications and prayers day and night. 1 Timothy 5:5. And this is manuo. Yeah, I think we looked at this last week with the mono, to be desolate. And this is only, monos, yes, only alone. And meno, which means to abide or to remain. And we got into the monogenes, or the only begotten. And that was Jesus, the only begotten Son, monogenes, or geneo, monogeneo. And what was the other? 34. Yeah, okay, that's good. Now, there was another, I'm looking for some more Greek Strong's numbers here. 49:37. A bruised reed. Soon tribo, bruise, break, broken to shivers. Soon, of course, was with or beside, and tribo, which is a path or one way or a path. Soon tribo. Excuse me. Or a wound, trauma. Okay. Look at that. Traum, trauma is a wound. That's one time in the Bible there. And we can just flip around with all these words. Thrao means to bruise. Yeah, okay. Bruise Satan under your feet. Broken to shivers. A bone of him shall not be broken. So you get the idea. Broken hearted, broken in pieces. Okay, but there was another one. That's 49:37. Looking for some more Greek words here. I think we looked at these already, but I'm going to look at it real quick. 13:11. Yeah, it rings a bell. 13:11 is corrupt, perish, and this is destroy. Yeah, this is the diphthero. Yeah, we looked at this extensively a couple of weeks ago. Phthero, which is corrupt, to destroy. So we looked at that. Let me see. And we looked at katargeo. We looked at that, yes. And ephatos, yes, I looked at that. So, and yes, we looked at that already too. Good. I don't know if we got this. 49:38 and 49:37. 49:38 and 49. I think we just looked at these. 37. Sometimes I run into. Yeah, we did. Okay, let's look at that. Oops, I took off the horror and the other thing off of there. That's too bad. All right. All right. So, like I said, this pink breed. I'm trying to get to it, but also to stay away from it. And then I got some more withered and dried up here, but I'm not going to get into that right now. I just want to look at some more of these pages. 9:28, we did that. Okay. And astonished here. Amazed, astonished, astonished, astonishment, and astonisheth. So I went crazy looking at all of these. And you could do the same thing if you want. And then tremble, trembling, and trembled. And I'm pretty sure we looked at most, if not all, of these numbers here. Ragaz, probably not. There's a bunch of these trembling words that I had written in the book, and I want to pull this out real quick. And I think, yeah, okay. I'm pretty sure I got them here. TWO, yeah. TWOT 735, 2180. Nope. Okay. I'm looking for 21. I don't see it here. All right. 2184. Here it is. 2184, 2112, 2195, and the other one we can get there too. This is, so I'll put these up for next week. But I want to get to these two. This is Tremble, Quake, Rage, Shake, and Rattling, Shake, Rattle, and Roll. But the 784, Sudden Alarm Terror, I think we looked at that. We looked at the Hittah, we looked at that. This Neurohr, we looked at that, yes. And Magora, we looked at these. Okay, so I'm going to take these out of here. So like I said, you can TWOT it with all of these numbers, and we'll look at these because I don't think we looked at these yet. TWOT 2184, 2112, and 2195. If you want to write them down, we'll get into them. And there's a couple. There's a TWOT 540 and 1778. I want to get the 540 and 540 is here it is, 2111. 2111. 2111. That's TWOT 540. Moved. Mordecai shall tremble. Shall rise up, suddenly shall vex thee. This is 540. This is Zua. Okay. And the other one is TWOT 1778, which is 6427. Bear with me here. 60, what did I say? 6427. All right, we'll look at these next week. Horror, fearfulness, trembling. All of these beautiful words. Fearfulness, trembling, horror. Well, you got to get all of these in context here. 1778. All right, that's a quickie there, right? And then the 2112. I think I got that on here already. 2112. No. Oh, here it is. 2112. Yeah, I got that. So we'll get into this next week. And this is Terrified. What number is this? 1702. 1702. See if I have that on there here. 1702. Yeah, I got that. Okay. Let's close this. The Phobos and the Phobeo. We're going to get this out of here. So we're getting there. 1978. We only got what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pages here. 1, 2. Astonished, Trembling. We looked at a lot of that. But we're going to get into this. And then this last one here is that. All right. So I want to finish up how because my voice is going. And who's here? Michael, if you're here, can you say a few words for us?
Yeah, Lord, thank you. We thank you once again for this evening of fellowship, learning your word. We only look to you to bring us closer. You promised to send your comforter, your spirit that would reveal all the truth to us. And you give it to us as we can each handle it, Lord. And can only thank thee if you give me the strength to proclaim it. We thank thee for all things, knowing it's to your glory. And we humble ourselves before your mighty hand each day, thanking thee for the blessings you bring our way, for the pain and the agony you put us through that brings us closer to you, because we learn to rest in what you're doing in our lives each day, knowing that your future ahead for us is giving glory to you because of what your son has done for us. And we thank you once again for today, and look forward to giving you praise again tomorrow. In Christ's name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, brother. I mean, there's just so much. I'm sorry if I know I zipped through that really quick, a lot of stuff, and but I just want to let you know that this is like hours and hours and hours of going through books and research, and you just try and get it, and give it to you. And I'm throwing it at you like I'm regurgitating it up here, and it's a lot. I know it's a lot to take in, and if it's just too much, if you can't write that fast, I'm sorry. Oh, let me stop recording here. All right, thank you, God, for everything.